Welcome to this special part 2 masterclass with Rick Barker, the social media marketing mastermind that helped launch Taylor Swift's career. In this special episode, we'll dive deeper into a concept called the Dream 100. If you're looking to grow your business or your personal brand fast, or just looking to explode on social media, then don't miss out on these amazing tips. Enjoy.
What's interesting is that sometimes we stop things because of overwhelm. We are just so close to getting to success, and then we put we slam the door on ourselves sometimes because we think that there's too many things that we have to do. There's so many people that we have to reach out to. No one will want to work with me, or where do I even start to find the people that I can work with? Well, you're not the only person feeling that. Some of the richest, most powerful men in the world felt the exact same way. And then they were able to simplify it. And right now, Daniel's going to share with us. Let me just, show the slide so that I can say I did. How do you narrow the search? Okay, so there's a great book. Daniel, take it away.
I'm going to show the slide because I was told by that we had to show the slide.
Show the slides, boy. Show the slides.
Our legal team required us to show the slides, Oh my goodness. So the question is, how do I narrow the search? Because technically you have, billions of possible collaborations in the world, right? So how do we narrow that from billions to the, billions that are on social media to, the handful, the dozen of people that make sense to collaborate with, so you get the biggest bang for your buck? Because, we don't want to waste your time. So there's a story, and we showed the image of the ultimate sales machine by Chet Holmes. Turbocharge your business with relentless focus on 12 key strategies. Well, Chet Holmes, he wrote this book in 2007. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2012. But he left us in that book an amazing story and an amazing technique that people have been using for years in order to pinpoint with accuracy the best collaborations. The story goes like this. Chet Holmes, he used to work with Charlie Munger. Who's Charlie Munger? Well, he is the famous billionaire that's Warren Buffett's partner. And Charlie Munger had a magazine. And as a brand new magazine, he hired a team, including Chet Holmes, in order to go out and find advertisers for this magazine. Well, for the first few months, Chet Holmes was struggling, and he got zero. Okay, he struck out. 0 people to start advertising in this magazine, which is really a bummer if you're trying to impress Charlie Munger, right? You're trying to impress this billionaire. You're supposed to be this hotshot sales guy, and you come up with nothing. Well, there was a list that was handed to Chet Holmes of 2,200 possible advertisers, and he said, my problem is I'm trying to go after all 2,200 of these people, and I'm trying to form relationships with all of them at the same time. He was basically shooting from the hip and not connecting with anybody. So what he said was, I'm going to analyze this list a little bit more. I'm going to try to chop it down and figure out who's my most important people that I need to woo over in order to get people to advertise in this new magazine. So he did some research, and this is a part of the process that you're going to want to do, a lot of research in order to narrow things down. And as part of his research, he discovered that 167 of the 2,200 potential advertisers were spending the most money. In fact, those 167 people, they were advertising 95% of the advertisements in the top 4 magazines for that industry were from those 167 advertisers. So he said, well, that's great news. Instead of focusing on 2,200, I can just focus on these 167. Now, with these 167, he started to send them fun things in the mail, advertisements. He would do anything possible to capture their attention. And in the first and second and third months, he didn't connect with these 167 advertisers. But around the 4th and 5th month, they started to take notice because they were getting all this communication from Chet Holmes, and they said, okay, all right, this guy's obviously trying to get our attention. Let's see what he has to offer. And by the 4th or 5th month, he started to get his first few sales to drop. And by the end of that first year, he got 30 of those 167 advertisers to start advertising in Charlie Munger's new magazine, which is great because immediately it started helping the magazine to be profitable. And then over the next few years, Chet Holmes continued to double sales while continuing the relationships with those 167 advertisers. And by the end of a 3-year period, he had actually achieved his goal of getting all 167 of those top advertisers to start advertising in this new magazine. And so what he did was he said, well, this concept's so powerful that I think I should teach it to other people. And he came up with a name for the concept, a name for the strategy. He called it the Dream 100 strategy. And the Dream 100 strategy, as you can see here, since Chet Holmes unfortunately passed away in 2012, the Dream 100 strategy, since it was so strong, it has lived on in the marketing community. Dana Derricks wrote a book about the Dream 100 strategy, which I have read. And then also Russell Brunson, he consistently talks about the Dream 100 strategy and the importance of doing your research and pinpointing at least those top 100 most influential collaborations that you could go for within your industry. So instead of trying to go after, the tens of thousands of possibilities, we want you also to take this concept and you start with a few people, start with 5, 10, 15 people on your list, but eventually build it up to maybe 100 possible collaborations where it would be like, okay, if I could collaborate with these people, if I could get in the door, my foot in the door with these people, then it will take me much further, much faster in my industry.
No, that's a great story. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, because what happens for me is that I looked at my Dream 100 in a way that says, okay, who already has my customer that I would ultimately have to go spend money with Facebook or some form of advertising to get in front of these people or speak on stages? And then how can I serve that audience? So in the music space, we have some pretty big publications, some pretty big organizations. For example, one of the people that we have is CD Baby. So CD Baby, I'm a keynote speaker every single year, where they have an email list of about 500,000 people. But what they also have is a Facebook group and a Facebook page that has a couple 100,000 people. So I started thinking to myself, going, okay, how can I go in and serve that community? So I reached out to the folks at CD Baby and I said, listen, you guys put on this big conference every year and you have a podcast, and that's pretty much the extent of the relationship that you have just promoting like normal on your socials. I said, what if I was to come do live Q&As on your Facebook page? And you could promote, hey, Taylor Swift's former manager will be hosting live Q&As. Come ask any questions about the music business. Then they started emailing that out to their list. And now all of a sudden, I'm not making an offer on this. I'm giving people the opportunity to get more information from me. So I wasn't using my Dream 100 to try to sell to their audience. I was using my Dream 100 to build a relationship with their audience. And because as a celebrity, I've set my socials up properly and I had a funnel and all the things we talked about earlier, it was a win-win situation. So now I started thinking, going, okay, the Indie Bible. I'll show a couple of these things for you. So if you look at the Indie Bible has 190,000, or CD Baby, has 190,000 followers on their Facebook page. Post reach this week, 805,000. I would have to go on Facebook right now in order to pay to try to get in front of CD Baby's audience, and that will cost me thousands of dollars. Or I could go prove my celebrity and my credibility and solve problems. Another way to look at this is I was reaching out to folks saying, can I be, now think about this for a second. Pedro, you're going to love this one. Daniel's going to get this aha moment. What I did was I went and found and said, can I become the video version of your frequently asked questions? You have 10 frequently asked questions that no one ever reads. They're on every person's website. So find someone in your space and say, could I do video versions of those frequently asked questions for you? So when people say, you know what, that's a great question. Why don't you watch this video? Because we work with Taylor Swift's former. Every time somebody can name drop your celebrity, you're also doing them a favor, by the way. It's a big favor to them. So I started becoming everyone's frequently asked questions. On a side note, other people's frequently asked questions, a lot of them became podcast episodes, because I know that if they have my customer and those are the questions that keep popping up, that they would go through and create this whole frequently asked questions page. That all of a sudden gave me content. So then I started seeing advertisements of all these other sponsors in my space. And I said, wow, these people called the Indie Bible, they've got 25,000 people, but you know what they had that was even more important to me? Was an email list of 335,000. So here's how I worked myself into that Dream 100 scenario. I said, hey, what do you guys charge for an email to go out? He goes, oh, $1,600. It's $800 for 2 emails, and you commit to 2. So it was $1,600, and we'll send it out to our whole entire list. I said, great. I want to write the email. I said, but before the email goes out, can I go do a live Q&A on your Facebook page so that when you send out the email, you might have heard of Rick. He was recently on our Facebook page answering your music business questions. So it gave me credibility right away with their audience. I was also the first person to say, I'll pay your $1,600, but I also want you to resend to the unopens the following day. They're like, oh, no one's ever asked us to do that before. I'm like, what? Wait a minute. It's like your open rates, 10%. Yes, I wanted to go out. So I was doubling my open rates, doubling the value and exposure that everyone else was getting. And then after first time I did one with them, I remember I spent $1,600 and I made $9,000. And I said, how can I even better this relationship more so that they'll send out emails whenever I need them to send out emails? I called them up. I said, look, I will buy 2 emails a month for the rest of my existence. Or what if I were to make you an affiliate of my programs? And I have a $97 course, $2,000 course. They said, we'll try it. So then what they also did was they gave me the ability to take over their Instagram pages. So I have admin ability to go live at any time on their Instagram pages as I develop this longer relationship. And in the meantime, by making them a partner, they have now opened up their world to me. And now it's like I get 3 emails a month. I go on their Instagram page. I go on their Facebook page. And it was because I went in first asking how I could provide value. Pedro?
When we were talking about networking in the last video, I really don't connect with networking, the networking event concept. So when people invite you know what, there's this networking event going on, should we just go there? And I don't like going to networking events per se, because my experience in the past has been people there, they only want one thing. They want to get something out of you. So you have this floor with dozens, sometimes hundreds or thousands of people networking, right? They're talking to each other. And people are like, so, hello, how's your name? What's your name? Rick. Okay, what do you do, Rick? Oh yeah, I work with artists in music and stuff. And they're like, okay. And people just turn away and walk off, because people are like, they're looking for something and they can't waste time, right? And the whole overall vibe of the event, it's horrible, in my opinion. At our events, that's forbidden. We require people to add value to at least 3 people before you ask for something. We also tell them not to use business cards. And you see what I'm getting with this explanation. We tell them not to use business cards because a lot of times, you know, we go back to our homes or we go back to our hotel rooms and we have this stack of cards and you're like, woo, what am I going to do with this? And maybe you pick one or two and you throw them away. Lots of people have done that. You have probably have done that in the past. And that's just the way it is, you know? So we challenge them to not have a business card. By the way, by doing that alone, it's a differentiator. By doing that, say, no, I don't work with business cards. People are like, what the crap? What do you mean you don't have business cards, you know? And you say, and we challenge them to do the personal test of, if you're important enough, message me. If you're important enough, message me. So that's the thing, you know, if I'm talking to Rick for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 1 hour and we're having the time of our lives, you can bet, as you know, for certain, at the end of it, I'm going to say, Rick, can I just send you a message? You know, can I add you on Facebook, or can we get closer? And that's going to be natural. So instead of talking to 30 people and getting 30 different business cards, I much rather talk to 3 and getting there, you knowing that they have kids, knowing what they like, what they don't like, knowing that we have friends in common, you know. And when we do that later on, and here's another secret for you, later on, I can reach out to Rick, and a lot of times I don't know what to say because this is Rick Barker. This is Daniel Dan. Who am I? You know, like how I'm going to add value, as Rick is saying. So what I have done in the past successfully is I try to remember our conversations and Rick's hobbies. And for example, he might be into fishing, you know, and then I will go out and find an article that is interesting about fishing. And then I will send him the link of an article, online article at this, you know, any website, and say, hey, Rick, I was reading this article and it reminded me of you and our conversation. I hope you're doing well. And usually 90% of the times he's going to hit me back and say, hey, how are you, Pedro? No, yes, because you're talking about something they love. After you've reached a certain point in your career, you don't do business with people because it makes money. You do business with people because you connect and you like them. You know, because very soon, by applying the celebrity code, you're going to have so many people come up and knocking on your door, wanting to do things with you. You will be able to be in a place where you can choose who you want to work with. That's going to happen. Mark our words. That's going to happen. So when that happens, you want to do business with people you like. And a lot of times it's not about the career. It's about the personal side of your life that people they connect to, right? So what I'm trying to say here is add value first. When you build your list of people you want to reach out to, think about that. You know, don't come in with the mentality, you know, Rick Barker is this very important guy. Daniel is freaking amazing. He's got over, 500,000 fans. So I reach out and say, Daniel, please, with this beggar mentality. I'm begging, please, you know, throw me a bone. Like, you're not born to do that. You're greater than that. You have this abundance mentality of how can I create enough value that it can't be ignored. So, and then by having that mentality, so you see I'm tying three different things here. By having that mentality, when you reach out to your top 100, you don't reach out saying, hey guys, you know what? Should we launch something together? Hold on. I always figured out a way you can add value first, and eventually things would fall into place.
All right. So everybody take whatever you're writing on right now, and let's talk a little bit about what Pedro just unwrapped right there, because he reminded me of something. When I first started at Big Machine Records, my job was I was a regional record promoter. So I had 9 states and about 70 radio stations that I was responsible for. And in order to get music played on the radio, you try to build relationships with the program directors. And Scott told me, he says, I want you to go collect buttons. And I was like, what do you mean? He says, when you sit down at someone's desk, start looking around and you see that they have a family, collect that button. If you see that they like barbecue sauce, collect that button. Like Pedro said, if he sees that Rick's sitting there with the fishing, collect that button. And you keep your buttons on those people. So for me, I knew that Mike Kennedy liked barbecue sauce. So I was in the airport and I just bought a bottle of barbecue sauce And when I got to my hotel, I went down and I had it done with a little handwritten note that said, was traveling through the airport and thought of you. Every time I called Mike Kennedy, guess whose phone call got answered? Mine. People were always asking me, why is he always, because these program directors would have these set call times, and sometimes they would answer and sometimes they wouldn't. But when he saw my name show up, they go, hey, Rick Barker's on the phone for you. He's sitting there looking at whatever it is that you may have put on his desk. So I loved the way that you said that. Another thing that I think is important as you're starting to establish your Dream 100, there are going to be times, if you do the way that we're telling you to do this, is they're going to reach out to you. You're not going to have to reach out to them. You're going to come top of mind when they're putting something together. I was just invited to be part of this thing called Futurecast. And these guys have 1.8 million people. You know, they're the people I've shared with you guys the story that they put a phone on their deck in Florida and every morning 5,000 people watch the sun come up. Nobody says anything. It's a phone. You watch the sun come up and there's 3,000 comments, 2,000 shares. I mean, it's the craziest thing ever. I had met a guy at an event and we just had dinner. I didn't think anything of it. And then he calls me 2 months later and he says, hey, we're doing this thing. I think your story with what you teach would fit perfect. I know you don't have a course. I know you don't have anything, but I want you to be a part of this. And I'm like, okay. So when they come to me and they said, hey, what do you have to sell? We want to help you sell your product. I said, I don't have anything to sell right now, but I would love to be able to serve your community. You can build what do we call it? Reciprocity collateral. You know, you can build collateral by doing things right now. You may not think that you're in a position to bring any value because you don't have a course or because you don't have a book. Don't think like that. Go ahead and serve your Dream 100. And then when the time is right, you'll be able to bring that back towards you. Daniel, I see you nodding your head a lot.
Yeah.
What's running up? What's running through that brain of yours right now?
It reminded me of everything I learned about Rick by listening to 100 of his podcast episodes in 20 hours. And I was just going through my notes just to jog my memory, because I remember that you had a dog that died a few years ago, and that was tough for your family. I remember that your daughter graduated this year, and you know that's extremely tough because she graduated in the middle of this pandemic. It was a tough time for you. You're married. You love soccer. You used to play competitive soccer. Now here's the thing. I know all these little tidbits, these buttons I've collected about Rick, because I did my research. I didn't just say, hey, Rick, you know, let's do this. Let's do this thing. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? You know, I did my research, found out about Rick, and figured out things that the coolest thing about knowing that Rick used to do competitive soccer is I'm just looking forward to the day where we're all down in Brazil and we're all just playing soccer together on the beach or something just for fun. Like that's cool. And when you do the Dream 100 the right way, you get to form these fun connections. It's not just about let's make a quick dollar. It's about let's form some real relationships. There's that relationship thing again, right? The ADA model's broken. It's all about AIRDA. We got to throw that relationship in there. So let's form these real relationships, and let's not just try to make a quick buck this year. Let's form a relationship so that, you know, maybe we don't ever make money together, but we have this really cool relationship, or maybe 10 years from now, something comes from it. And, you know, of course, some of the relationships that you form through the Dream 100, they are going to bring you monetary gains this year. And that's great. That's awesome. But not all of them. But there's a lot more to life than just the money. The relationships, a lot of them you can never buy. You can never buy those relationships.
I think what I love too, when I was listening to Pedro's story, was he used the word desperation, and people can feel that. And no one wants to hang out with desperate people. But I also loved what he talked about with the not having the business cards. I mean, I've got boxes of business cards that I've collected that I've never done anything with. But I remember the person that I took a selfie with and tagged them on Instagram. That's the new business card now. Just so you guys know, hey, can we take a selfie and post it? Don't forget to tag me. Everyone does that because they want their people to know they're hanging out doing something. FOMO is real. It is so real. Fear of missing out. When we can show all this stuff, my assistant, Hannah, is so funny, and you might be this person, I think Hannah I think she travels every day of her life because she'll take like 15 photos, but she'll strategically post them, one on this day. And then she's that, I say anal for lack of a better word, and I tell her that all the time. I said, why can't you build like an album or something? She goes, no, I have the dates. I have to post this and I have to do this. I said, but right now people are yelling at you for not having your mask on because you're posting pictures from 2 months ago. And she's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of this. But what she does is she takes this and treats it as content. You can take it and treat it as content. But yeah, the selfies are the new one. That's the one everybody seems to want. Hey, let me hit you up on Instagram. That's the big word that's going around right now. Hey, you're on Messenger, right? People are asking you're on Messenger. Why? Because this is where we live now. We live on our phones. So whatever you can do to get on their phone, that's what I tell the artists that I work with. Your job's to get on as many of these phones as you possibly can. And right now with the ability for you to go out, and I always ask this first before at any relationship that I'm in, is there any way that I can serve your community? They'll come to you. As soon as you ask that question, they're going to tell you, wow, I'm glad you asked. No one's ever asked me that before. Because everyone usually goes into it and what's in it for me? They'll kind of weave their way around the situation, but you can tell when it's like that. I'm always like, hey, is there anything I can do to serve your community? Let me know. And trust me, if you've been doing it right and you're the celebrity, they're going to want you to serve their community because they're going to get to brag to their community that they know you and that they were able to bring you in. It's like I tell all the artists that are like, I said, look, I don't teach you how to get a record deal, but if you're in a position to get one, I'm going to put you on my back and I'm going to walk you into that label because I want credit. And here's the cool part. As long as people keep having babies that want to be famous, I never run out of a potential audience and I want credit for what just happened to you. And they're like, dude, we're in. Their thumbs go up and we're all ready to rock and roll at that point. Pedro, as we wrap up this video, any closing words from you? This has been a fun one.
Yes, this is awesome. I think humankind as a group and the planet, it's moving towards an era of helping each other. With COVID and everything that's going on, we are learning that we need to help each other, we need to understand each other. I don't need to accept everything people do, but I need to understand it. Just by judging without knowing it, without taking the time to study it or understand it, it's not going to fly anymore. So I think that the first level you can do is reach out to people and say, how can I help? By doing that alone, that's a differentiator, and that's very powerful. The level above that, and that's just the final thing I would like to share, is sometimes people reach out to me and say, hey, Pedro, I have been following you for this many years. I'm a huge fan. What can I do to help you? And to be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind is, if you have been following me for all this time, can't you think of anything that would make me happy? Because I know they want to partner. They want us to promote his project. And a lot of times it's a nonprofit, and that's beautiful. But you see my point? So asking people what you can do to help them, it's good. Taking the time to study and arriving with a proposal. Hey, Rick, I have listened to over 100 episodes of you. And you've mentioned that you when your dog died, your family went through a hard time. So, hey, I want to give you this that helped me when I went through that. You see the difference? Like, hold on, really? That's powerful. So back in the day, we used to have to live with someone close to them, physically close to them for long enough so we can learn about what they want, what they don't want, what they like, what they hate. Now you can do it, online. They don't even know it. So think about that when you reach out to your top 100 people you want to connect with. Don't get there and say, hey, what can I do? Get there and say, hey, I have been studying you and I admire you and I have something that would add value to you, you know, and it has to be something really cool. Like Rick was saying, don't try to weave your way in trying to sell something because people can see it. Just add value and you'll be surprised how much value is going to come back to you.
People's BS detector is on high alert right now. It's like, especially the younger people, the kids, it's like if you're selling to kids, you cannot pull anything over on them. They call it so fast. And then the older folks, they've seen it all. So you can't get anything over on them. So that's why this transparency is great. And I like what Pedro said about coming with a solution. I had a guy reach out one time. He said, listen, I love your podcast, but your logo could use some help. Do you mind if I try to redesign one for you? Like, dude, I'm all in. Another guy, hey, can I do a cartoon fixture for you? I'm like, yeah. Can you get rid of the dark bags under the eyes though? And he said, yeah, I can do that. I'm like, great, I'll take the cartoon picture. So find out who already has your audience, figure out ways organically that you can serve that community. And don't worry, your list does not have to get to 100. Mine hasn't. It's just called the Dream 100. Chet had 167. Dana and Russell promote the 100. Just find that group of people, go out, provide value, and we're super excited to hear about these victories. And in the Facebook group, brainstorm with each other. If you're having a hard time figuring out who might have your audience, there's some really smart people in the Celebrity Code. That Facebook group is loaded with people. Those are the types of questions you should be asking in there and getting feedback from the other folks. Because a lot of times we're so attached to our product or our service that the answer is right in front of us and we can't see it. That's why a lot of companies hire consultants. It's just an outside set of eyes. So use each other as that outside set of eyes inside the group. And I will be shocked, absolutely shocked, if some of your Dream 100 aren't already in this Facebook group. All right. We'll see you inside the next video.
All right. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Marketing Podcast Party. Please share this episode with your friends, family, and business partners. Also, remember that the party continues with your free copy of the Ideas That Influence book and interactive box experience. I wrote the book and created a box experience to help you with even more mildly successful marketing ideas. Head on over to bigideasbox.com to grab your copy. You'll get your copy for free. You just pay shipping and handling costs. Once again, that's bigideasbox.com for your free plus shipping copy of Ideas That Influence. I'm Daniel Din. This is the Marketing Podcast Party, and I'll see you in the next episode.